Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Happy Friday to you all. Hope you guys are having a great start to your Friday and a great work week. Well, a great ending to it as we're about to head into another weekend. Got you a big update this morning, really talking about what's going to happen specifically for today. We'll do that kind of in the first half of the video. I always want to throw that in there for you folks who are new subscribers, things like that. In the morning videos, we always talk about, at least at some point in the video, even when there's active weather going on, what's going to happen specifically for today. And then if there's other things going on past that specific day, we'll give you updated information on that. But I made a very long, detailed video last night on the pattern change and the chances for a winter storm next week and maybe two chances. Check that out. Not a whole lot's changed. But we're going to give you some revised information towards the second half of the video. I'll have timestamps in this for people who are not interested on the weather that's going to happen for today. And only interested on what's coming on next week. I'm very interested in that, trust me, so I don't blame you one bit. But we're going to figure this out for you guys. First off, thank you all. Last night's video was the most successful video since, I would say, February. So the growth has really been picking up. Thank you all for supporting me and supporting my passion and giving me an audience to talk about what I love, which is the weather. I'm very blessed and thankful for you guys. So if you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. Hit me up on Twitter. I'm telling you guys, I'm not trying to promote the mess out of this platform, but Twitter and Facebook, especially Twitter, it's a great way to get almost hourly updates when there's active times coming up. The tropics, severe weather season, and definitely winter. Great way to follow along. And more importantly at all, if you guys got anything that I can pray about or pray over, please put it in the comments below. Not only I will pray over it, but I promise you others in the comments will too. It's a family atmosphere with this channel. We all look out for one another, and we all stay positive, that's for sure. Let's get rolling this morning so y'all can get on with y'all's Friday. Blizzard warnings ongoing. A lot of this is not because we're going to continue to see a lot of heavy snow. A lot of it's just a ground blizzard. It's really cold up here. Snow's blowing around. A lot of snow on the ground, but we'll get some accumulating snow up here still. The winter storm for the Midwest, Great Lakes region has kind of mellowed out some, but there will still be snow flying around, and the winter storm warning continues to kind of rage on in areas of the mid to higher elevations of the Northeast. Very elevation driven. We'll talk about that here in a second. But really elevation driven. I mean, I'm talking about 500 feet can make a difference between you looking like a winter wonderland and just looking like a cold rain mixed with rain and snow. It's a big difference up here. A lot of hills. And just an elevation-driven system, that's for sure. Just not a lot of cold air to work with. But if you're not getting snow with this, just wait a little longer because something could be brewing next week. But let's run through this. The Southeast, pretty quiet weather day to day. There's not even a whole lot to talk about. Really nothing to talk about. It'll be chillier. You see some snow showers, maybe get as far south as northern Kentucky. And the Ohio Valley also. We'll get a closer look at that here in a second. So if you're in the Ohio Valley today, as far south as northern Kentucky, you could see some snow showers flying around as early as this afternoon into the evening, into the overnight hours. Might put a dusting on the ground. Not a big deal, but certainly some festive flakes flying around the Ohio Valley, that's for sure. The Northeast, we'll talk about this a little bit longer. We got blocking up here in Greenland. This is allowing for this storm, this low pressure, to really bog down, if you will. It slows down. It's not able to really keep going and just ride out into the North Atlantic. So it's just kind of hanging around. Therefore, you just got rounds of precipitation that continue. And you notice it's all rain down here in the valley areas like Albany, eastern Mass, southern New England. This is mostly rain. Now you got about 1,000 feet up and higher, it's probably wet snow. And that's why you see these little areas of green kind of mixed in with the blue. The HRRR model's trying to pick up on the lower elevations, the lower valleys in these regions. So if you live on a hill that's higher than everybody else in Western Mass or New York State, there's a chance that if you drive down that hill, maybe to head to the store or whatever, that there's nothing on the ground. But if you go up the hill, there's 2, 3, 4 inches of snow on the ground. It's that kind of storm. Not a lot of cold air to work with here. But, this is around midday. You still got moisture funneling in here. And then the low pressure finally, as we're getting into late overnight tonight, this turns into a big winter storm for areas of Maine, just about all of Maine, as more cold air works in. We have a little bit of backside cold that changes even some snow to the valleys, but this is a pretty decent event, a pretty nice event for a lot of higher elevations, the ski slopes for sure. And then check out the flurries and the snow shower, snow squalls moving in tomorrow afternoon. Snowfall today, you can really tell where the valleys are. It's the blend of all models, but additional snow between now and the next 24 hours. Over a foot of snow is certainly possible. Over 2 foot of snow is possible. If you're in the higher elevations of Vermont, New Hampshire, New York State, even Maine. But, even Western Mass. But I think this might be a little overdone. I read some things that Western Mass is really a tricky area. I think you really got to be solid up in elevation, if you will, just due to the fact that these areas down here are closer to that low pressure, which brings more warm air to the surface. So we look at the south central U.S. Let me know if you're in Amarillo and watching. If you see some flurries this morning, I'd be interested to know. But those diminish. Some showers begin to form in east and east central areas of Texas a little bit later this afternoon. Not a big deal, and they just kind of ride into Louisiana and the Mississippi throughout the late evening, overnight hours. Not a big deal at all. Not a whole lot to talk on at all here. But up here in the north central U.S., you still got this pesky surface low right here, and there's plenty of cold air. There's no warm air really wrapped in. I mean, there is warmer air closer to the low pressure, but it's still warm enough to snow. So there's going to be just snow scattered and smothered from Chicago all the way up to the Dakotas. You're just going to have just areas of snow showers rocking through all these states that you see here. Some areas might not see a flake. Some areas might just see rounds of snow showers. But, it's so cold up here that this will certainly add up somewhat. And really, you watch over here as lake effect snow begins to fire off Lake Michigan here as we get into later this afternoon and this evening. So if you're in the far western counties of Michigan, I think you could pick up several inches of snow throughout the overnight hours. We look at, how much snow could fall. Not a whole lot, just pockets of, a few inches of snow. But this will, it's so cold up here that it's not that cold, but it's cold enough up here that anything that falls is probably just going to stick. So any flakes flying around, they ain't going to go anywhere. But, not any big additional snowfall totals. We'll go over to the upper Midwest. And like I said, between now and the next 24 hours, some lake effect snow will start popping off, anywhere from 2 to as much as 6 inches of snow, the far western counties of Michigan. So I do expect some snow, additional snow off the northwest shoreline of Superior. You guys just keep getting hammered. It just keeps snowing and snowing up there. But let's go on and switch and go over some revised information from this pattern change. It's 6 to 10 day outlook, and I just remembered I forgot to put the temperatures up, so I do apologize. We're just going to keep rolling. But, I showed this last night. We're not going to stay on it long. December 21st to 25th time frame. This takes us basically the few days leading up to Christmas all the way to Christmas. Well below average temperatures are going to dominate the region. I'm talking 10 to as much as 30 degrees below average for this time of the year. So certain areas for Christmas Eve, the 23rd, leading all the way to Christmas, might go below freezing and might not get above freezing until after Christmas. It's going to be very, very cold. But the confidence is high that this is coming, and I really think it is. So we look at the EPS and see what's going on. And really, this cold dome of air drops down, piece of the polar vortex, if you will stop this for Wednesday evening. Tall ridge building over the western U.S. You want this to build really tall if you really want a storm system to really dig into the south and put areas further south for snow right before Christmas. We'll talk about that. We talked about that extensively last night, but we'll talk about it a little bit in this video. But really check out last night's video, and then we'll dive deeper into it tonight, which, by the way, the video will probably be a little later tonight, taking my kids to see Christmas lights. I won't be back at the house until probably 7:30. But stay tuned. I'll still have a video up. But this area drops down. This is big troughing. A large Arctic cold front drops down. We're getting to Thursday morning, Thursday afternoon, and we're getting into around Thursday evening. Tall ridge in the west, warmer than average temperatures dominating the west, and then colder than average temperatures in the east. This is a huge trough. Jet stream buckles to the south, and you're just, asking for basically impulses of low pressure to ride along the base of this trough. But how many low pressures, how many pieces of energy flies, along the base of this trough? We don't know. We don't, but we really need a piece of energy to dig pretty far south for this to bring more people into the snowy picture a couple days before Christmas. You look at the European as far as temperatures, we'll start this around Thursday evening. Look at Montana, the Dakotas. 10 to 20 degrees below zero. We'll go all the way to Thursday morning. Look how quickly this Arctic front progresses southeast, waking up to Oklahoma City into the teens. Missouri One part of the state is below zero. The other part is only in the 40s and 30s where the Arctic front hasn't passed. You know, the Euro really wants this to be a really tight gradient, meaning, you know, you might go outside one morning, Thursday morning, Friday morning, whatever it may be, and it might only be in the 30s and 40s. By the time you head home from work or just head on wherever you're going, if you have the days off, by the time you basically get to the evening hours, you know, it could be in the teens and maybe single digits. It's a weird kind of situation. Sorry, my voice is changing as I'm making this video. My nose is getting stopped up as I'm talking to death. So my voice doesn't naturally sound like this, I promise. Just slowly getting over the sickness from earlier this week and just still got some congestion. But this cold punch of air moves through. We get all the way to Friday morning, the December the 23rd. If you're confused about the time frame, just look up here and look how cold the air is. You know, you're -5, -10, -15 in Chicago, give or take a degree. Very cold all the way into Texas, all the way down to Houston, all the way to the Gulf Coast line. Just basically find your state, and that's how cold the Euro says it's going to be for Friday morning. Get all the way to Christmas Eve morning. Very cold morning across the entire central and eastern U.S. Bitterly cold temperatures. I mean, sub-freezing temperatures all the way to Orlando for Christmas Eve morning. It'll feel like Christmas time for everybody. And then for Christmas morning, bitterly cold. I mean, teens, as far south as the deep south. And listen, you just a very cold air mass. And we'll go all the way out to Christmas Day. And, you know, it'll struggle to get out in the 30s for the deep south. And I think this will remain true, honestly. I don't think this is going to moderate much. It might. I think it will moderate somewhat, or it could get lower. It could trend lower. But this is for Christmas Day. Look how cold it is. Very, very cold. Only in the 40s in Florida. That's pretty chilly for Florida. I mean, we're normally good for about one or two very strong cold fronts in Florida for winter. But a lot of times you don't see them in December. But you know, a lot of people are wondering about winter weather. The run from overnight showed a scenario that is beginning to show up more and more. We'll stop this for Thursday morning. You got a low pressure developing right here, and there's enough cold air already kind of sunk into the mid-Atlantic and northeast where you might have some icing in Raleigh. But remember, I'm showing you this model guidance. This is changing. It's changing every 6 to 12 hours. But I'm showing you this, as I've said many times, because there is a storm signal out here. Low pressure forms, and this heads on out. It's a near miss, but here comes the big dog right here. This digs down into here. Snow as far south as Jackson, Mississippi, Shreveport, as we're getting into the evening of December 22nd. And then we got snow all the way to Atlanta, all the way to Birmingham. It's snowing in Columbia, South Carolina, Charlotte just before Christmas, the morning of December 23rd. Low pressure right here. And this is a big system. It digs more than that run did yesterday evening, okay? But not as quite as good looking as the run at lunchtime yesterday, if you will. But this would put a blockbuster winter storm for about basically the entire eastern U.S. And then after that, we watch a system behind it, which brings snow much further south. And this is believable because Arctic air has already kind of moved in. It's already in place. And I can tell you, the storm system behind it is a lot more believable for areas further south for snow than the system behind it. But this trails Christmas evening. It's already, I mean, if you were to believe this, if you were to say, stop this and say, okay, this is what's going to happen, it would be snowing Christmas Day evening for Mobile, Alabama. You know, but this is going to change so many times, guys. It really is. But then overnight Christmas night into the day after Christmas, it brings a winter storm for everybody in the southeast and the mid-Atlantic, and then it goes all the way up the I-95 corridor. The European is believable. And you guys are not going to be a fan of this, but I believe the European on the first system. I think that it's going to cut. Low pressure is going to cut across the apps, and I think that this is going to be a bigger system for the Ohio Valley, maybe areas of the Mid-South and then Mid-Atlantic. Low pressure here, low pressure there. A lot of pieces of energy flying across here, and it does not bring snow near as far south as the GFS does, but it brings a lot of heavy snow into the Mid-Atlantic as we're getting into the morning of the 23rd. And, yeah, I could believe that a little bit more. But, guys, we're still a week out. In general, we're still a week out. And what I can tell you is what you're looking here is here comes this piece of energy associated with the storm system. It dives down right here, but this is not digging down near near enough as you want it to dig down. You want this piece of energy right here, and this is the afternoon of December 22nd, to dig down, way down here. And I talked about this a lot last night. This ridge, it's tall, and it's good. But you need it to be more taller, you need to be taller, and you need it to be more steep. So you need this, you see these lines going up like this, you need these lines to really dive down like this. This will allow for this piece of energy to really dig right here and then try to develop and close somewhere around, this area right here. But this digs, basically into the Ohio Valley, and this is not going to cut it for snow before Christmas pretty far south. But the GFS, totally different. Now, I'm going to show you this. Or I'm not. Let's see. I'm going to show you the 06Z GFS. And it tells you how different these runs are. The 06 GFS, the most current one, it doesn't show snow that far south like the GFS showed 6 hours prior. So that just tells you this is changing back and forth. The latest GFS only shows snow for Tennessee, Kentucky, and basically the mountains of North Carolina and Tennessee. Brings a little bit of snow into upstate South Carolina, North Carolina, and brings a pretty nice snow event. It brings snow all the way to Columbia, South Carolina, but it's not a lot. It's not really appreciable snow. But this will be a big hitter for areas of North Carolina, Virginia. And then you look for the system behind it, and it's a totally different look. And this is because we're 9, 10, 11 days out. It drops the Arctic air all the way down to Texas. Therefore, you got an overrunning event. It's snowing basically down here in almost Brownsville, Texas. And then you got a major ice storm a couple days after Christmas for areas of the south. We're everywhere, guys, and we're going to continue to be everywhere. All I can tell you is if you look at the EPS, a very reliable model suit to look at, you got a signal for a storm system right before the Arctic front, right? Here comes the Arctic front. It's moving in. You see all these numbers right here. That is potential low pressures. The ensembles, there's not going to be 20 low pressures, but these are the ensembles. So basically, it's showing where a potential low pressure can be around this time, and it's showing the strength too. We mainly look at this during the tropics, but it tells you that this looks like a late bloomer kind of situation to me. So it favors the operational run. That's why, unfortunately, for people who won't snow before Christmas in the South, I don't have much faith in it happening. Now, I really favor the European. Now, will this change? It will, absolutely. I think we'll have another few awesome runs, but we really need that piece of energy to dig pretty far south for a pre-Christmas storm, which I favor over an after-Christmas storm because you want to lay all that snow on the ground just before Christmas. It would be beautiful, it would set the tone. But there's also a signal behind this. You see these low pressures right here, but they're everywhere. There's a signal for a storm system like a Miller A-type event the day after Christmas, just off the coast of the southeast with plenty of cold air settled in. So you look at the European ensembles for this event, and here's the first event, not very great for the south. Here comes the second event, a little bit better. See how the snow dips a little bit further south. So we got to continue to figure this out. We got to watch this, guys. Sorry that I sped through that, but my nose is clogging up and I got to get the girls off to school. But God bless all y'all. Have yourselves a great day. I'll keep you guys updated, and I'll talk to you this evening.